Martin Luther was born on November 10, 1483. He lived in Germany and became one of the most important figures in history. At that time, the Catholic Church was very powerful. It controlled religious life and had great influence over kings and rulers. Many people believed the Church had too much control over their lives. Some thought the Church was not following the true message of the Bible. Luther was one of these people. He wanted to change things and bring religion closer to the teachings of the Bible. Luther grew up in a time when most people could not read or write. Books were expensive and only the educated could study them. The Bible was written in Latin, and ordinary people could not understand it. They had to rely on priests to explain it to them. Luther was lucky to get an education. He studied law for a short time, but he did not feel happy. He wanted to dedicate his life to God. So he became a monk and later a priest. As he studied the Bible, he found problems with some church teachings. He noticed that the Bible did not mention some of the things the church was doing. One of the biggest problems was the sale of indulgences. An indulgence was a piece of paper that the church sold to people. The church said that buying an indulgence would reduce the punishment for sins. This meant that people could pay money and believe they were forgiven. Luther did not agree with this idea. He thought that forgiveness came only from true faith in God, not from money. He believed that the church was using indulgences to make itself richer. This made him very upset. In 1517, Luther decided to act. He wrote a document called the 95 Theses. It was a list of arguments against indulgences and other church practices. He nailed this document to the door of a church in Wittenberg. At that time, it was common to put notices on the church door for discussion. Luther wanted people to think about these problems and talk about them. He did not plan to start a revolution, but that is what happened. People read Luther's theses and began to question the church. Thanks to the printing press, his ideas spread quickly. More and more people started to agree with him. The church, however, was very angry. The Pope, the leader of the Catholic Church, wanted Luther to take back his words. He sent messages warning him to stop. But Luther refused because he believed he was telling the truth. He wrote more books to explain his ideas. He argued that the Bible should be the highest authority in religion, not the Pope. This was a dangerous idea at the time. In 1521, the Holy Roman Emperor called Luther to a special meeting. This meeting was called the Diet of Worms. Important leaders and church officials were there. Luther had to defend his ideas in front of them. They wanted him to say that he was wrong. Luther stood firmly and refused. He said, "I cannot do otherwise. Here I stand." Because of this, the emperor declared him an outlaw. This meant that anyone could harm him without punishment. Luther's friends helped him escape. They took him to Wartburg Castle, where he hid for almost a year. While in the castle, he worked on one of his most important projects. He started translating the Bible into German. Before this, most people could not read the Bible themselves. Since it was in Latin, only priests could read and explain it. Luther wanted everyone to understand the Bible in their own language. His German Bible became very popular. It helped spread his ideas even further. Luther's teachings led to a new movement called the Reformation. His followers were called Protestants because they protested against the Catholic Church. New churches were formed that did not follow the Pope's leadership. These churches focused on faith and the teachings of the Bible. The Reformation changed Christianity forever. Luther did not only work on religious ideas. He also believed that education was important. He wanted all children, boys and girls, to go to school. At that time, only boys from rich families got an education. Luther thought that everyone should learn to read, especially so they could read the Bible. His ideas helped improve schools in Germany. Another important change he introduced was music in church. Before Luther, church services were mostly quiet, and only priests spoke. Luther encouraged people to sing hymns together. He even wrote some hymns himself. He believed that music could help people feel closer to God. Some of the hymns he wrote are still sung today. Luther also changed the rules for priests. In the Catholic Church, priests could not marry. Luther disagreed with this rule. He believed that priests should be allowed to have families. He himself got married to a former nun named Katharina von Bora. They had children and a happy family life. This showed that religious leaders could live like ordinary people. Even though Luther faced many dangers, he never gave up. His ideas continued to spread across Europe. Some people supported him, while others opposed him. Wars and conflicts broke out between Catholics and Protestants. Many rulers chose to follow Luther's ideas and broke away from the Pope's authority. This changed the political and religious map of Europe. Luther continued writing, teaching, and preaching until the end of his life. He wrote many books and letters to explain his beliefs. He helped shape the future of Christianity in Europe. Even though he started as a simple monk, he became one of the most important figures in history. Martin Luther died in 1546, but his influence remained strong. His ideas led to new Christian traditions and more religious freedom. Many churches today still follow his teachings. His work helped people understand their faith in a new way. Because of him, millions of people around the world can read the Bible in their own language.